Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday night, September 20th, 2020 edition of StudentLoanJustice.org live stream. My name is Alan Collins. I'm the founder of StudentLoanJustice.org. To all of you who are new, welcome. We're very glad you found us. We are the oldest, largest, and really the only legitimate citizens group actually fighting for student loan justice. For the first 15 years of our existence, we fought very moderately for the return of bankruptcy protections to student loans. Congress and, three or four presidents now at this point, failed us. They grossly neglected this problem. And I'm here to tell you today, now, right here as we speak, this is now a failed lending system. Make no mistake. Even before the coronavirus crisis, 70% of everyone wasn't able to pay, and over half of those few who were able to pay were paying and paying and paying, and their balance was going up. So this is a failed lending system. It's toast. It's done. Put a fork in it. It really makes no sense to fight only for the return of bankruptcy protections at this point, because all that would accomplish is forcing 10, 15, 20 million people into bankruptcy. We are now calling, not on Congress, but rather on the president, whether it's this president or the next, to cancel all federal student loans, all federally owned student loans, which is like 85, maybe even 90% of all student debt, by executive order, and to issue another executive order that returns bankruptcy protections to the loans that remain. But we're really focusing on that first part now, folks. This is really, it's a no-brainer. I know most people, the first time they think of the concept, they're like, yeah, that's never going to happen. Well, actually, I think it's almost inevitable that, yes, it is going to happen. It has to happen at this point. Of the $1.5 trillion outstanding federal student loan debt, the federal government is never going to get back even 200 billion of that amount. It's just not going to happen. It's monopoly money. It's fiat. This lending system has gone over the cliff. It would have failed many, many years ago, but for the fact that bankruptcy protections and statutes of limitations have been taken away from the loans. So this gives the government and its minions the power to ravage, wreck our lives for the rest of our lives, and sort of reanimate this failed lending system. Well, those days are over, guys. We're now in a coronavirus crisis. Nobody is paying their loans. Nobody was paying their loans even before the pandemic hit. The numbers have just gotten too big, too nationally threatening to ignore. So I'm very happy to say that we started a petition on change.org. By the way, if you have any questions or comments, throw them out. I'm very happy to respond to them in situ, as Marta Galek has just done. Hey, Marta, how's it going? Marta says, I just wrote to Jason Knowles at ABC7 Chicago, sent him like 5 emails, so hoping that they cover this as a story. Well, thank you, Marta, and that kind of brings me right around to what I was saying. We started a petition on change.org calling for the president to cancel all federally owned student loans, 90% of all loans, by executive order. I'm very happy to tell you that we now have 600,000 signatures. And just in the past 10 days, we've been featured on Fox, the main Fox News. We actually made the ticker. We were supposed to do an interview with Neil Cavuto on Friday, but it got preempted by a Biden speech. And then Ruth Bader Ginsburg unfortunately passed away over the weekend, so who knows. But it wasn't just Fox. It was Heavy.com. It was Newsweek. It was probably a dozen or maybe even 24 local news stations. And that's like maybe over the past 2 weeks. And I'm just mentioning just a fraction of Yahoo News, et cetera, et cetera. So things are going great, but folks, I'm here to tell you we need more media coverage. So Marta, thank you for doing that. By the way, we've got a story going in Chicago right now with a local station, not the one you mentioned. So I'm hoping that they'll contact us. But yeah, it would be great to get on many of the local news stations in every big city, quite frankly. The media should be our friend, folks. We are a grassroots organization, a 100% volunteer organization. We don't have staff. We don't have a budget. We don't have an army of lobbyists or marketing people to help us spread the word. All we have are ourselves. Now, we've got way over 600,000 people in the group now, at least technically. But we need all of these people to help. It is only by us individually flexing our muscles according to your own unique talents, skills, abilities, networks, etc., that we're going to get anywhere. But, we've done great. Over the years, we've been featured top story on 60 Minutes. We've been in 2 feature stories in Rolling Stone, and we've been featured on NPR and PBS and the New York Times and the Los Angeles Times, and we get interviewed in the Wall Street Journal quite frequently, and all these good things. And pretty much every show you can almost imagine we've been on at one point or another. But it is your efforts that make that happen. I kid you not, folks. This is a sink or swim thing. These are your loans, your problem. You can't sit back and cheerlead and say, yeah, go, Al, and give me a slice of pizza while you're up. No. It doesn't work that way. You have to help. And so, thank you, Marta. Marta gets it. I know Michelle does, too. She's been on the group for a long time. Hey, Michelle says, go on White House site, send Trump a message, let's all do this and show him our strength. Well, you're exactly right, Marta, and that's another point that I wanted to bring up tonight. We started this petition calling on the president to cancel student loans by executive order in March. There was a lot of controversy about whether the president could actually cancel loans by executive order, and it turns out that as per the Higher Education Act of 1965 as amended, yes, the president can cancel all federally owned loans by executive order. He can do this without having to consult Congress, without having to raise one dime of tax money, without adding one penny to the national debt. This is by far and away the most efficient, cheapest, most expedient, and really the most appropriate, best targeted way to massively stimulate the economy. We've just thrown $5 trillion, or I think $9 trillion, depending on how you count it, fiscal stimulus out there, all that stuff added to the national debt. Canceling all federal student loans will add not one nickel to the debt and won't require one penny of tax money to be raised. Now, don't believe what you hear. I know there's other cancellation programs out there, and they're all essentially just boondoggles. They're taxpayer. It's people trying to hustle money out of the taxpayer. There's no good reason. The taxpayer already paid for 85 or 90% of all federal student loans. These were funded many years ago by the taxpayer. They don't need to pay twice. So our idea is exactly the right one, and it started going viral big time 2 weeks ago. What is most important, which speaks to Michelle's comment, is that as of last Thursday, the Democrats have how can I not say steal? They've appropriated our idea. And last week, Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer introduced legislation into the Senate calling on President Trump to, yes, exactly what we said, cancel student loans by executive order. Now, the bad thing is that the Democrats put some weasel words in there. They said cancel up to $50,000. And that could mean, literally, that could mean anything. Could mean nothing. Think about it. These are lawyers in Washington, D.C., and up to $50,000 is a weasel word. It's frankly, what the Democrats are doing is kind of a cheap political ploy to... What they're trying to do is scare President... And by the way, we're a totally nonpartisan group. We tell the truth. If you hang around long enough, we will almost certainly say terrible things about a candidate that you like, assuming you like any candidates or parties. We have no love for either party. We tell it as it is. That keeps us honest, accurate, and unbiased. But what the it's an election ploy. It is. Because the Democrats, to their great, and I'm very glad that the Democrats did this, but the Democrats, to their credit, recognized what we already know, and that is that there are 55 million student loan borrowers in the country, 44 million of them hold federal student loans, and 44 million of them are losing sleep over their loans. That is a voter bonanza, the likes of which we have never seen in modern times in presidential elections, certainly in my lifetime. So the Democrats are trying to scare Donald Trump off of this issue. The Democrats' fantasy, their dream, their most favored outcome would be that, yes, Elizabeth Warren, Chuck Schumer put out this challenge to President Trump to cancel loans. And by the way, they put some very partisan language wrapped around this call. What they would like to do, what they really want is for President Trump to go, yeah, did you see the Democrats? They want to cancel student loans. Well, that's just ridiculous. We're not giving no freebies for the college. No, we're not doing freebies for the Antifa and for the protesters. No, we're not going to cancel their debt. Trust me on this. I, as president, will absolutely not cancel loans. That is what the Democrats want President Trump to do, because they want to scare him off of those 44 million borrowers. So right now, the ball is in the president's court. He can ignore what the Democrats did, and if he does that, then many, perhaps most, of those 44 million borrowers are probably going to go for Biden. He could do what I just said, what the Democrats want, come out and say nasty things about student loan borrowers and come out against that proposal, like diametrically opposed. That would be a huge mistake, because then most, if not like 90+% of those 44 million distressed student loan borrowers would absolutely vote for Biden, I think, probably. And I don't see a way that Donald Trump could win the election given that. I'm not kidding, guys. You guys don't understand how important we are, how important this issue is. It was not an issue last time, Hillary, Trump. It was not. Neither of the candidates put forth anything meaningful. Right now, the Democrats have broken the ice. Joe Biden is at least mouthing the words loan cancellation and returning bankruptcy to student loans. It's very untrustworthy. Certainly, he hasn't said anything strong enough to merit our endorsement. Currently, the only party we can endorse right now is the Green Party, by the way, and hopefully that will change. Hopefully we can endorse. Hopefully this problem gets solved by the election. But it all depends on what's going on right now, because the ball is in President Trump's court. So yes, back to Michelle's comment. Right now, what everybody, and this is the most important thing I'll say to you tonight, the most important thing anybody can do right now and for the next 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days is contact the White House, as Michelle says. Go to whitehouse.gov and say whatever you need to say to compel the President Trump and his administration that they need to not take the bait that was thrown down last Thursday by the Democrats, not come out against the borrowers, that would be politically suicidal, but rather to, quote unquote, trump the Democrats and not only cancel up to 50% of student loans, no. Cancel all federal student loans, federally owned student loans, which again is 85 or 90% of all student loans. That would be a counterpunch for the ages. It would be an October surprise, the likes of which we have never before seen. And it may very well win President Trump the election. I mean, who knows? Who knows how it's going to shake out? Another likely scenario is that Joe Biden, Trump and Biden get into a little bit of a feeding frenzy. And as of November 2nd, or actually earlier than that, when people actually start casting their ballots by mail, that Joe Biden will say, I pledge that I will cancel federal student loans up to $50,000, maybe more, by executive order as president on day one. So that also would be hopefully more than $50,000, by the way, because $50,000 will help nobody. But right now, we are in play, and we have to get this kind of a back and forth going between the campaigns. So yes, Michelle, you're exactly right. Go to whitehouse.gov/contact. Say whatever you can say to say what I just said. There are 44 million people losing sleep over their student loans who absolutely will vote this issue for the candidate who either pledges to do something or, in the case of Trump as president, actually does something real and really helpful on this problem. Canceling all federal student loans would be the most that President Trump could do. Now, I can't guarantee a victory after that, but 60% of those 44 million or maybe even 55 million people with student loans, 60% are either independent or Republican. So 40% are independent, about 20% are Republican. So it's not beyond the pale to say that if Trump were to cancel these loans tomorrow, it's not beyond the pale to say that 35, 40, maybe million of those 55 million people would vote for him, where before maybe they would have, maybe they wouldn't have. So that's like a 15 plus million vote swing. More than that when you consider that some of those people probably would have voted for Biden, but instead switched their vote all the way over to Trump. So we're talking about a political muscle large enough to turn a loss into a landslide and vice versa. So you guys have no idea how powerful you are. And Michelle is exactly right. Let's all do this. We've got a huge muscle to flex, but only when you sitting there own this problem. Quit sitting around watching, waiting, worrying, hoping, assuming that somebody else is going to pull your weight for you. Doesn't work like that. It never has, never will. Democracy is a contact sport. It's a participatory endeavor. If you don't show up, nothing good will happen for you in all likelihood. And oh my goodness, how true that is for the student loan problem. The bad people, the student loan swamp, the people making money off the system, the people who have managed to perpetuate this system for decades to their massive discredit and shame. They love it when you do nothing. That's the number one thing they want you to do. Nothing. Don't give them the pleasure. Hold on one second. I have to plug my thing in because I'm about to run out of gas. Hold on. And by the way, folks, I might add, the bad people, that is the student loan swamp, the investors, the lobbyists, the unelected bureaucrats, the lawyers, etc., who are making their living in one way or another off of this problem, they want nothing more than you to do nothing, and they themselves know that this is a failed lending system. Hold on a minute. Where's my power strip? Hold on. Yeah, they know. They know this is a failed lending system. Frankly, they are stunned that they've been able to perpetuate it for as long as they have. I think they probably had their getaway van parked outside with the motor running for at least 10 years now. They've had their golden parachutes packed. Oh, hopefully I don't die. Okay. Whew. Made it. Yeah, the bad guys know that the jig is up. Everybody in Washington, D.C. knows there's a failed lending system. Nobody is paying on their loans right now. And if you think that many or maybe even any people are going to happily or even unhappily resume paying on their student loans when this moratorium is up, that's fantasy, guys. It just ain't going to happen. If even 10% of federal student loan borrowers actually resume making payments on their loans when this moratorium ends, I will be pretty surprised. I think it'll be less than that. But come on, guys. Really, when over 50% of the borrowers of a lending system are defaulting on their loans, that's a failed lending system. And we have blown past that threshold. So, we've got quite a few more comments here. So, yeah, dudes, the ball is in our court. All we got to do is a little bit of work. I urge you all to make this maybe not a full-time, not even a half-time, just like a part-time job, like 4 hours a week or something. You need to spend two things: blowing up our petition. We've got 600,000 signatures now. It would be so much stronger if we could crack the million, and that is so fucking easy to do, pardon my French. If everybody who already signed just got one person to sign, we'd be at 1.2 million. Everybody knows somebody with student loans. If you know 5 people with student loans, 4 of them, we're never going to be able to repay them. And we're freaking out about them, whether they admitted that to you or not. That's just math. It's just the facts. So you know these people. Get them to, at a minimum, sign the petition, but really get them into this group because they need us and we need them. And truly, guys, we are the only group in existence who is actually fighting this fight. I would have loved to have said that the Democrats are now on our side, but you know, that proposal they put out, I think it was more an attempt to just do election year politics stuff than actually solve the problem. That up to 50,000 weasel word just wrecked everything. We've been doing this a long time, guys. We know the weasel words. We know all the slights, all the feints, all the tricks, all the sort of, all the smoke and mirrors that are frequently used to trick the people. And I wish I could say this wasn't a trick, but guys, it just is. So, so we are it. I mean, we are literally it. There are other groups saying that they're pushing for loan cancellation, other petitions out there, and they are all nonsense. They will never, ever, ever, ever work. Every other group, until recently, calling for loan cancellation, wanted Congress to pass a law that would raise $1 or $2 trillion in new tax money to pay for loan cancellation. So it had to go through Congress. This cancellation had to be paid for through higher taxes. That's just bullshit. It will never happen, guys. Congress will never pass that law and never raise that tax. And even if they did, the Department of Education would see to it that almost nobody, or maybe even nobody, would actually get their loans canceled. 15 years, doing this a long time. We know this stuff. Trust me on that. So we are the center of the universe. We are the tip of the spear. Heck, we are the spear. We are the eye of the storm. We are the storm. I kid you not. And as corny as it sounds, the country actually needs you on this. So if not for yourself, fight for the country, patriotic duty, or just think about the tens or hundreds of millions of people that are going to follow in our footsteps. You know, this thing could have a bad outcome. Could have a dystopian, debt slavery, police state-like outcome. And we just can't do that. We're a better country than that. But it all comes down to you. You sitting there you have no idea how freaking important you are to steal a line from a movie. If anybody can name that movie, you get some bonus points. A little trivia for you. Kimberly, reply. Marta says, great idea, replying to what Michelle said about going to whitehouse.gov/contact and telling President Trump to cancel all federally owned student loans by executive order before the election. And lo and behold, Kimberly Nicholson, hey Kim, agrees. So Mark Daniel says, I sent Trump a message about student loans a year ago. I've been getting nothing but texts ever since. Well, you know, texts are easy to block. Emails are easy to block. And, you know, also, Mark, you can send Trump one message a year ago, and that's not going to do anything. What we're asking people to do, literally make this a daily activity. Go to whitehouse.gov, send the president a message every day until the election, if you want. Don't be limited to that, obviously. Contact Biden. You can go to go.joebiden.com/contact-us and do the same thing. Well, Joe Biden cannot cancel the loans right now. He can at least pledge to, as president, as a presidential candidate, he can pledge to do it on day one of his presidency. So that would be a very helpful thing for you to do too. Contacting news organizations, as we were discussing earlier, is hugely helpful for us. You know, we've been blown up over the past week, and We came this close to going on Fox News Live last Friday, and we'll get there, guys. But it's going to take a lot of people making the effort to contact news organizations and tell them to report on our petition. You don't have to answer any of the tough questions. We'll do the interview, no problem. We're very good at doing that. We've been sharpening this blade for many, many years. We can answer all the tough questions, but you need to set them up so we can knock them down. Kind of the way it works. Third-party referrals. So call the Oprah Winfrey Show, call or contact Rush Limbaugh or Rachel Maddow or anywhere in between, and just do that. Hey, Michael Jacobs says, "Hey, Alan College. Hey, Michael. We all need to do this. It is our time now or never." You know, you could not be more right, Michelle. You know, for those of you who have been on the group for any length of time, hopefully you can see maybe by even my body language how excited I am. We have never been in a better position to kill these loans and get these loans gone for the good of us, for the good of the country. Never been closer. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's like right there. It's like within our grasp. So now is, if you were ever going to do anything to fight for student loan justice, fight to get these loans gone, now would be exactly the time. Right now would be exactly the time. Now and through November 3rd. But really, probably now through like October 20th. Because people are going to be starting to mail in their ballots like soon, like super soon, like a month from today. So really 30 days is better. Yeah, Ellen DeGeneres would be absolutely fantastic. I know some of our people have reached out to her before, including you, Michael, and me. But you know, it's a numbers game. We've got the numbers to overwhelm every switchboard, every inbox for every show, every news program, every newspaper, every magazine in the country. So together, we will win this. There's no need for anyone who's watching this, anyone with student loans, to be suffering in silence. That is exactly what the bad people want you to do. Don't do that. Don't give them the pleasure. This is where it's at. So you need to tell everyone you know with student loans that, hey, there's really something special going on here at this thing. Student loan justice. Give them our Facebook group. For sure, tell them our petition, change.org/cancel student loans, capital C, capital S, capital L. Only by your word of mouth is this going to happen. As I said, we don't have money for marketing. We don't have any of the resources that the fake AstroTurf establishment nonsense, artificial hustlers, swamp creatures, and others claiming to be fighting for students. Yeah, we don't have the kind of resources they have. They are ringers. So get on it. This is as grassroots get. I have never been more excited and optimistic and encouraged as I am today. I'm going to cut this, well, not short. This is actually, we've actually gone a little bit long. I apologize, but I appreciate the questions and the comments. Yeah, push the petition, burn that into your mind, make it your mission, make it a part-time, maybe even a half-time job for the next month. Make a news story happen. Contact President Trump, contact Joe Biden through whatever channels, whatever means necessary. And let's blow this petition up, folks. Good luck, God bless, God night. Good luck, God bless, and good night.